Hey, what's up guys? It's Apollo Uchiha here, back with the next part of What If Naruto was reunited with his family. I know I uploaded this part last time as well, but please bear with it today because I'm not feeling well that much. Yeah, I have recovered somewhat, but I'm not feeling well as a whole. Sorry about that, and yeah. If you haven't, then please do leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel, and without further ado, let's continue with our story. Oh yeah guys, I almost forgot. I really wanted to thank you guys for the comments last night. It really, make me happy to know that I have such a nice community that cares about me. And to be honest, I kind of love you guys like my family. We really are a family and I'm really honored to be a part of this community and all. Thank you so much. And without further ado, let's continue now. As the cannon ran around in the forest, Uncle looked at the congregation of the trees that made it up from the outside of the gate. The batch of Ganis seemed decent this year. She almost felt bad that half of them would most likely not be leaving this forest alive. Almost shrugging at the losses that would certainly occur, Anka was about to quickly grab some dango to snack on before someone called to her. "What is it?" she sighed irritatingly as she turned to see two fellow Konohanin. They were interrupting dango time. She did not appreciate that. "There's a problem. You got to see this." Grumbling, she wondered why they could have taken care of this themselves as she followed them. Did they really need to involve her? What could possibly happen that they couldn't handle by themselves? Realizing what she was thinking, Anko cleared her mind. Pushing her irritation out of her mind, she proceeded. She shouldn't let her annoyance take over for her, right? Thinking it over again, she knew that the two shinobi knew better. They wouldn't call her unless something serious had happened, especially since the second exam had only just begun. Problems this early? Really? Such a thing was unheard of. Stopping near some bushes that were close to the forest, the two Konohanins told her to look for herself. Going along with them, she did just that, and then she swore. "When did you find this?" Anko asked as she examined the three bodies further. They were Kusanin. The Ganin that she saw entered the forest to be exact. Of course now she knew that wasn't them. What worse is, she only knew of one jutsu that could leave a corpse in this state. Only one man used such a wild technique that stole the faces of his victims. Only moments before we alerted you. Nodding, Anko told the two of them to find some medic nins. She also jumped onto a tree branch. They may have been dead, as if Orochimaru would leave any witnesses, but there may be something they could discover from their corpses. Make sure we have all the information on them before you find me again, got it? I'm going to talk to Hokage-sama. This is serious matter." And with that, she was gone. Link break. Troublesome. Sighed Shikamaru as Choji rolled past him, tearing through anything that dared obstruct his path. "Should we really be helping a team from another village?" he asked, despite the fact that he was going along with this anyway. A few minutes ago, Choji had stumbled across the team of Kumonin. They looked worse for fear. They were bruised, scratched, bleeding here and there, and one of them couldn't seem to stand. Had that been all that was wrong, Shikamaru could have stopped Choji from helping. Though he doubted he have to, the young Akamichi knew better than to help another team just because they looked a little injured. They could easily be faking. Of course, that wasn't why he was helping. Aside from looking injured, various carnivorous creatures surrounded them. Giant bears, equally large tigers, and unnecessarily big spiders, which Ino had almost freaked out over when she saw them. As far as Choji had been concerned, that was enough reason to help. As Ino made her way to the injured shinobi, Shikamaru weaved through hand signs. Kageme no Jutsu. He called the shadow stretching out and capturing the animals and insects that were preparing to attack. There were a lot of them, but ever since Asuma had increased their training and his mother found out about it, the number of things he could restrain with his shadow had been increasing. This would be no troubling for him. Besides, he knew he wouldn't have to be the one to hold the creature for so long. Right before Choji rammed into the first tiger, Shikamaru's shadow receded from it. The tiger was brought down while Choji and Shikamaru repeated the process until all of the creature had been sounded defeated. Their work done, the two of them walked over to Ino and the injured Kumonin. "Thanks," said one of the girls. She was redhead. "You're lucky, Choji. Such a softie," commented Shikamaru, ignoring the indignant "hey" he received from his friend. I personally thought helping out would have been troublesome. The redhead turned to Choji now, offering her thanks. Well, it's nothing really, he replied bashfully. Glad I could help. It was nothing to us, the redhead replied. You saved our life, and for that we thank you. I'm Kari, by the way. They are my teammates, Amoy and Samui. Choji nodded and proceeded to introduce himself and the team members of his own team. As he did so, Kari looked at him and couldn't help but take back the thoughts she had about him from the test began. He was a better shinobi than she thought. Link break. Minato stood to the side of Hiruzen as the two men worked on their paperwork. Around them was their Kage Bunshin doing the same thing. When Minato had asked Hiruzen why didn't he use Kage Bunshin for the paperwork one day, the old Hokage had looked at him with wide eyes and then immediately grasped the bridge of his nose, heaved a loud sigh, and said he was ashamed of himself for not thinking of it earlier. He was a professor, for God's sake. He should have realized such a thing, shouldn't he? Now Hiruzen had finally discovered the secret to defeat the demon that was his paperwork. Except it didn't really matter anymore. He was retired, and the only reason he was acting as Hokage right now was because they yet to announce Minato's survival, and due to the exams, they were bound to the shinobi entering his office today. That would not be privy to that particular secret. Minato was disguised thanks to the Uzumaki ceiling restraining on his shoulder, but it would still raise unnecessary question if any of his subordinates saw some shinobi that didn't recognize sitting at the Hokage desk. It would prove to be a very good idea as they were a knock on the Hokage's door right now. You may enter, called Hiruzen. He and Minato looked weighing from the paperwork as they dismissed their Kage machine. Upon the door opening, Anko stepped in with a grave look on her face as she closed the door to the Hokage's office behind her. Hokage-sama, we may have a problem, she reported, not intending to beat around the bush. And that is? Asked Hiruzen in Minato's place. As for the Yondaime, as he was concerned, he merely scowled at the news and hoped it had nothing to do with Naruto. Just a few things. Just a few minutes ago, some of my subordinates from the second exam found 3 bodies belonging to a team of Kusagenin. She replied, now considering the nature of the second exam, I wouldn't find that unusual except for the fact that the 3 corpses were found outside the testing ground. That in itself is a cause for alarm, as it means someone had killed them before the start of the exam, but the true problem lies in who did it. The state of the corpses upon my arrival at the scene answered the question, and it definitely wasn't good news. Who was it? Asked Hiruzen, grimacing. The Genin had been killed before the exam. It would have had to happen before Anko met with the team, or she would have known something was amiss. The Sandam knew this could possibly lead to the political complications as well. If they hoped to avoid such a problem, they would need to find the one responsible before the second exam reaches the end. The corpses had their head and faces removed. She replied. Hiruzen's eyes widened as Minato's fist clenched behind his back. He heard of the atrocities committed by Orochimaru after his death, and he found them to be unacceptable. He couldn't only imagine what could have happened to Naruto if Orochimaru had known of the boy's identity, and it made him nauseous just thinking about it. Orochimaru is here, then, replied Hiruzen, an undertone of sadness and anger listening in his words. Orochimaru had been his favorite student at one time. The boy had seemingly been much like himself, but he was too greedy and a very jealous soul. He believed what he wanted was his only right, and his obsession was immortality had led him to many atrocities within the village. Hiruzen had made the mistakes of letting him get away years ago, and he's regretting it then. Now, after the most recent events with Danzo, he regretted it even more. He wouldn't allow him to leave this village alive. If he stole the faces of those Kusagakure Genin, then there is a little doubt he is within the forest, said Minato. Misandem and Anko agreed. Anko, grab Anbu and go into the forest and search for him. He must be stopped with his plans, whatever they may be, we do not know. Here Hiruzen looked at his seemingly vacant couch. Fox, accompany her and alert me once you have found them. The once vacant couch remained vacant for a moment before someone came in view. She was a redhead with a fox mask adorning her face. She was Kushina. At once, Sandam-sama. With that, the two of them left the room. This time I will finish him, said Hiruzen, frowning at the battle to come. Minato looked at him with a frown on his face as well. No, you won't. I understand that you feel responsible for him, Hiruzen. While you are undoubtedly a powerful shinobi, eventually you realize what would happen if you were to face Orochimaru, as you are now. Minato said. The Sandam went to protest, a slight twinkle of insult in his eye. He knew he was old, but he still had his pride, and he was still a shinobi, a powerful one at that. Minato would not let him interrupt though. Hiruzen needed to hear this. The odds are not in your favor. With age comes wisdom, but it also comes with weakness to a degree. You're no longer in your prime, and surely Orochimaru has calculated a fight with you into whatever his plan may be. He's already far ahead, and he's ready. I know about that. And we are not. I'm not going to let you die in a battle with him after you finally retired either. Now I'll take care of Orochimaru. Hiruzen wished to give us a retort of some sort, but Minato reasoning was sound. Hiruzen could say nothing. Heaving yet another sigh, he complied with his successor's words. Link break. A Naruto clone raced through the forest, his Henji gone. At this point, it was acting as a decoy in order to lead away anyone who may be close to their hideout. He felt he could trust Sakura's Genjutsu, but better safe than sorry, right? The clone was just about to dispel itself when it heard a scream. Curious as to what it may be, the clone cautiously leapt through the canopy until he was looking down at a redhead Kusanin, covering away from an abnormally large bear. Taking a back look around, the clone didn't see any of her teammates, though he noted blood on the bear's claw. It could be a Genjutsu, but the clone wasn't identifying any signs of it either. This is real, thought the clone. Her team was already dead. She obviously couldn't fight back. With no reason to just leave her, the clone jumped down, giving a battle cry to draw the beast's attention away from the girl. The bear looked to the sky, just in time for the clone to land next to it as chain freed themselves from its right arm. The Kusanin watched as the chain twisted around Naruto's arm, encasing it and coming to a sharp point, just ahead of where his fist had been. Dodging beneath the swing of the paw, the clone thrusted its arm forward, and with a pained roar, the bear was impaled. Though severely injured, the beast didn't die. Enraged, it tried for another swing, but it never made it. Its body twitched before Bump squirmed along its fur. In the second, with a spray of blood and a sickly sounding wet noise, the chain emerged from the beast's chest, back, stomach, and neck before vanishing like ghost. The bear fell to the ground as Naruto clone moved to the side in order to avoid the corpse. Looking to his right side, he met eyes with the Kusanin and she backed away frightened. Are you okay? He asked the clone. The Kusanin could only nod. Did it kill your team? She nodded again. If you want, you could come with me to the tower and my team, proposed the clone. Though I would like to ask if you still have your scroll. And which one is it, of course? I have a heaven scroll. The clone's face lit up at her words. Really? That's awesome. You think my team could have it? We need one. Asked the excited clone. The Kusanin only nodded again, adjusting her glasses. The boy had just saved her and her team was dead. What would she need the scroll for anyway? Great. Oh yeah. You know what? I haven't even gotten your name yet. I'm Karin. Uzumaki Karin. The clone's jaws dropped at that. Link break. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura had just finished their little discussion when Naruto stiffened. He just gotten some information from one of his shadow clones. We know where the tower is now, said Naruto, earning a nod from Sasuke and Sakura. Asked where. It is in the center of the forest. Not too long for a run if we go full speed. Was Sasuke's reply. All we need now is the scroll. Nah, I got it covered, came Naruto's reply. Sasuke had been looking at him though, and his mouth hadn't moved. Looking around, they saw one of Naruto's Kagebunshin approaching with the red head inside. Who's that with you? Sakura standing to her feet and drawing a kunai. She immediately began to wonder if the clone was fake, though she knew such a thing was unlikely. Naruto had just recently explained the jutsu and the amount of chakra it requires. The odds of someone else knowing it in the forest were minuscule. Sasuke had a reaction much like Sakura, though he learned more towards it being an elaborate genjutsu. He couldn't place when they could have gotten caught in it, though. Besides, the enemy would have needed to get through Sakura's genjutsu first. He probably wouldn't admit it to her face, but she was good. There was no way any genin in the forest aside from himself as a Yuga would have seen through it. Still intending to be safe than sorry, Sasuke flashed his Sharingan, but the only genjutsu he noticed was Sakura's. No, what he was seeing was real. Why'd you bring back someone? Asked the original Naruto. Well, you see, boss, her team was killed by a big bear, and I saved her. I said she could come to the tower with us in exchange for her scroll. That's not the best part yet. Wait until you get these memories, exclaimed the clone, its excitement evident to all those around. Before it dispelled, Naruto stiffened, which led Sasuke and Sakura to relax a bit. Since he was eventually receiving memories, it meant the clone was real. Holy crap, said Naruto, shocked. This is awesome! He exploded, running towards Karin and enveloping her into a hug. What's going on, Doe? Scowled Sasuke. Guys, she's my... I can't believe it, Tebayo. Can't believe what, Naruto? Inquired Sakura, slightly annoyed at the lack of sense her blonde teammate was making. He's been doing so well too, she thought to herself. Everything up until now was probably just a fluke, snorted inner Sakura, though the more dominant of the two found that to be unlikely. Guys, Karin is an Uzumaki, and I can't believe this. I found more family. Karin blushed at the fuss her newfound relative was making over her. She thought the clone reaction was excessive. She'd been wrong. Initially, when she told Naruto her name, she seemed almost insulted after overcoming his shock. They resulted in some questioning from him, but after showing the blonde the family tree she received from her mother on her deathbed, he believed her after determining the document was real, something he learned to identify thanks to his mother. And that his attitude did a 180 and he told her he was an Uzumaki too. She was more believing than he was. Having visually remembered a story her mother had told her about how Uzumaki clan could use the adamantium ceiling chains, her surprise wasn't as extravagant as his either, but she was certainly very happy. She never thought she would be able to meet another clan member, yet here he was, standing in front of her after saving her life. Karen didn't feel as alone in this world as she had only moments ago. She felt she could belong somewhere again. As far as the remaining members of Team 7 was concerned, their reaction varied. Sakura was pleasantly surprised. She congratulated her teammate, genuinely happy that she was able to meet someone from his clan. Sasuke congratulated him too, though there was a very apparent undertone of envy. The Uchiha could only wish something like this would happen to him, but he was no fool. Every Uchiha had been at the compound was struck by Itachi. There was no survivors, none aside from him. Now in a significantly fuller mode, Sasuke decided to be a party pooper. We have a scroll now, and we know where the tower is. Can we not waste any more time here? Grumbling, the Avenger drawing everyone's attention before turning his back to them, jumping up onto a branch. As Sakura followed suit, Karin leaned over and whispered to Naruto, "What's his problem?" asked Karin, frowning slightly. She thought that the boy with the duck but of hair was very rude. Naruto hummed, thinking over what might be the problem as he also took to the trees. Karin followed behind him. Eventually, he had a guess that he was pretty sure was right. Sasuke lost his clan like us. The difference was that he was alive to see it happen, and he was the only one that was spared from death. I'm pretty sure he's just upset that I was able to meet another clan member, and he'll never get this chance. Well, he will, but he only gets to meet his brother, the one responsible for his clan's destruction, replied Naruto. He heard from his parents why Sasuke probably acted this way, and the way he did. Not that they condoned it, but he understood why the boy was so caustic all the time. When his father told him that Itachi, Sasuke's own older brother, had killed everyone in the clan, Naruto couldn't believe it. He couldn't imagine anyone doing that to their own family. It certainly made the blonde look at the boy that Uchiha Sasuke was in a different light. He understood now who the person was that Sasuke was so intent on killing. Karin only offered a solemn nod in response to the explanation. She understood what losing someone right in front of your eyes was like. Link break. Naruto trembled as she watched the youngest of the Suna shinobi lift an Ame Nin into the air, and with his hand before the Ame Nin was killed, crushed with the hands in such a way that his blood literally exploded outwards, showering down on the clearly. The Sunanin and the remaining Aminin were doing battle. As she looked on, she wondered how her team had gotten into this situation. They could have avoided this, she already knew it. They already gotten the scroll they needed from a different team of Ame Shinobi. They could have just gone to the tower, but Kiba suggested thinning out the ranks. Kiba's idea sounded good to a team at the time. Teammate knew they were close to a few teams, and if they took them out, it would be competition in the remaining exam lessened. Nothing about it sounded like a bad idea, and their confidence had been rather high since they defeated the Aminin so easily. Now, though, they realized they should have seriously thought about what they would have done if they encountered a stronger team. Thinning out the ranks wasn't worth the risk. Hiding behind some bushes for cover as they watched Gaara, now that they remembered whom the boy was from when Naruto had brought him up, effortlessly killed the remaining Aminin. Kiba motioned for them to wait for the Suna team to leave before talking themselves about a plan and taking off themselves as Gaara and his sibling discussed something. Hinata and Shino agreed without question, neither of them thinking that sneaking away would be a good idea at this time. They continued as to watch Gaara's bloodlust rose, permeating the whole area. It was obvious he wanted to kill more. The oppressive feeling of his killing intent bore down on them, causing Akamaru to whine. Kiba tried to quiet the pup, but it was already too late. Gaara had noticed them. With a flick of his wrist, the sand rushed to them. Hinata had noticed Gaara shift his attention to the three of them a split second before Kiba and Shino. She used it wisely, jumping away from the deadly mineral. Shino hadn't noticed Gaara's attention on them as quickly as Hinata, but he swiftly performed a Kawirami to escape. Kiba was the only one amongst them who hadn't been so lucky. He'd been trying to quiet Akamaru when Gaara noticed them, and he was still busy with his talk when the sand came at him. It was only a fraction of a second that allowed Gaara to trap him before he could use Kawirami, but obviously that was the deranged redhead needed. Now Kiba was screaming. The sand crushed him as Gaara squeezed. The Nezuka only wished the Sunanin would make his death as swift as the Amanin before him. Kiba! Link break. Karin and Team 7 were making a good time through the forest. The four of them flew through the trees at a brisk speed, not wanting to get held up by enemy's teams that might try to take a shot at them. Not that they were worried about that. Sakura's genjutsu was doing its stuff expertly. The four of them had already came across two enemy teams, yet they hadn't been noticed them at all. At this rate, we'll be able to get this tower in no time. Think about it, guys. We'll be the only team to have made it through the exam without having to lift a finger in an actual fight. Wouldn't that be cool? Questioned Naruto enthusiastically. Father would probably like to hear that. They got in through the exam with nothing but stealth and a bit of familial help, courtesy of Karin. There had been a moment where anyone could have observed their skills, which meant that they have nothing but surprise to show off in the next exams. Oh yeah, Naruto just knew Mineta would be proud of him. You shouldn't speak so soon, Naruto. You never know what could happen. Sasuke replied, significantly more calm than he was before Karin joined them. Shut up, Teme. Stop being such a spoilsport. Can you just enjoy when good things happen? Naruto retorted with a frown. Little did he know that Sasuke would be right, and he soon found himself taking back his words when a giant snake leapt from the ground below. The four of them dodged the attack, albeit barely, as Naruto landed on a branch next to Sasuke. The Uchiha gave him a look that basically translated it into, I told you so. Shut up, Sasuke. The slight banter didn't last any longer because the snake struck again. Aiming for them, Sasuke jumped above it, weaving hand signs for his ever-reliable Gokakyo no Jutsu. The ball of fire bore down on the snake as Naruto dropped from the branch as he too weaved through hand signs. In turn, Kusari Kyokobua. Chains emerged from Naruto's back, weaving together as they created 6 large conglomerations of chains. Large, sharp, arrowhead-shaped tips were the heads of the congregations of chain. Before the snake could even help to react, Sasuke Fireball crashed into its head, searing the skin immediately as the 6 massive chains impaled the enormous reptile. The snake was dead before Naruto or Sasuke landed on the branch. Karin and Sakura enjoyed them. Just as the Pinkett was about to suggest a strategy, a chuckle sounded from above. Looking to the branches above them, they saw one of the Kusagenin from before the exam, specifically the one with the long tongue. My, you really are something. You all are so much better than I expected. The snake was supposed to have killed at least one of you and separated the other 2. Yet what do I find? My precious pet defeated so effortlessly. This will be more enjoyable than I thought, smirked the Kusanin as he began to radiate clear intent, more vile and potent than what they felt from Zabuza, and that meant a lot to them. Goosebumps instantly sprouted to life across their skin as they went on the defensive. Whoever this guy was, he was dangerous. Now then, said the Kusanin, his tongue momentarily freaking out of his mouth as his smirk broadened. Shall we play? As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I really am, not feeling well. I think my throat is going to hurt again a lot because I've been talking a lot loudly. I'm sorry, it's just that I'm not well. It was kind of bad idea to make this part. I don't even know I will publish this or not. Well, anyways, if I do, then I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel, as this is Apollo Uchiha and I'm signing out. Peace.